I still remember the first time I saw her. It was on a train, of all places, the kind of encounter that usually dissolves into the blur of a busy day. But this was different. She was different. Her hair spilled over her shoulders in waves, chestnut in the dim light of the carriage. She wasn't smiling, but her eyes were alive, restless, as if they carried entire worlds behind them. I didn't speak to her that day. I didn't even sit beside her. I just watched, quietly, from across the aisle, memorizing the way she brushed her fingers across the window when she thought no one was looking. I told myself it was nothing, a fleeting moment, a stranger I would never see again, but fate, or something that wanted to torment me, had other plans. The next week, she was there again. Different day, same train. This time, she noticed me. "You look familiar," she said, her voice warm, a little playful. "Do you always take this line?" I stammered something stupid, words colliding in my mouth. She laughed, not unkindly, and slid into the seat next to mine. That was how it began. Her name was Emily, and from that moment, my world was no longer mine. We began to meet often, first by coincidence, then by choice. Coffee after work, walks along the river when the city lights flickered like tired stars. She asked questions no one had ever asked me, and she listened, really listened, to my answers. But there was something else, a shadow in her gaze, a hesitation in her smile. She would often stop mid-sentence, as if catching herself, and change the subject. I ignored it. I told myself I was imagining things. But late at night, when her voice echoed in my head, I couldn't shake the feeling that Emily was hiding something. Still, I was already too far gone. One night, we stayed by the river long after midnight. The water moved like liquid glass, and the air smelled of rain. Emily leaned close, her shoulder brushing mine, and whispered, "You make me forget things I should remember." I asked her what she meant, but she only smiled, kissed me lightly, and said, "Don't ask questions you don't want answers to." It should have scared me. It should have made me walk away. But instead, I wanted her more. The weeks blurred together. I stopped seeing friends, stopped answering calls. Work became a dull hum in the background of my life. Emily was all I thought about, all I wanted. But she was never fully mine. Sometimes, she would disappear. A day, 2 days, no texts, no calls. When she came back, she acted as though nothing had happened. And when I pressed her, she only gave me that mysterious smile. "You don't want to know," she'd say. But I did. God, I did. The first time I truly felt fear was when I followed her. I hated myself for it, but jealousy gnawed at me until I couldn't resist. She left the train at a stop I'd never seen her take before. The streets were narrow, dimly lit, the kind of streets that made you feel watched even when you were alone. She walked quickly, with purpose, like she belonged there. I stayed back, my heart pounding, every step feeling like a betrayal. She slipped into a bar, hidden between 2 abandoned buildings. From outside, I could see her through the smoky glass. She wasn't alone. A man stood with her, tall, sharp, the kind of presence that drew silence from a room without asking. They talked closely, too closely. His hand brushed her arm, and she didn't pull away. A knife twisted inside me. I wanted to burst in, to scream, to tear her away from him. But I couldn't move, because her face, it wasn't the Emily I knew. Her smile was colder, sharper, like a blade wrapped in silk. I stayed there until she finally left. I followed her home, and when she saw me, she acted like nothing had happened. She leaned against me, kissed me softly, whispered my name. And all I could think was, "Who are you really, Emily?" That night, she fell asleep beside me. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, every thought a storm. For the first time, I wasn't just in love. I wasn't just obsessed. I was afraid. The days that followed were torture. Emily was the same, sweet, magnetic, impossible to resist. But now I carried the image of her with that man like a wound I couldn't stop touching. I told myself to confront her, to demand answers. But every time I tried, her lips silenced me, her touch disarmed me. She knew how to pull me apart and put me back together with frightening ease. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. We were sitting in my apartment, the glow of the lamp painting her face gold. "Emily," I said, my voice rough. "Who was he?" Her smile faded. For a moment, I saw something flicker in her eyes, fear, maybe, or guilt. Then she leaned forward, brushing her lips against mine. "You don't want to know," she whispered. But I did. And she knew it. I pushed her away gently, forcing her to look at me. "Please, just tell me the truth." Emily stared at me for a long time. Finally, she said, "The truth is dangerous. If I tell you, you'll wish I hadn't." Her words should have been enough to stop me. But they only made me burn for more. The next night, she disappeared again. No call, no message. I sat alone in my apartment, restless, every sound from the street making me jump. At midnight, I couldn't take it anymore. I left. I went back to the bar. It was louder this time, filled with shadows and smoke. I scanned the crowd until I saw her. Emily. She was at the far corner, her back to me, sitting with the same man. I froze. He leaned close to her, whispering something. She laughed, soft, almost shy, and then his hand slid over hers. My vision blurred with rage. I moved closer, my fists clenched, but then his eyes lifted. He saw me, and he smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that said, "I already know everything about you." I stumbled back, heart racing, but Emily turned around just then. Her eyes locked on mine, wide, panicked. She shook her head almost imperceptibly, as if warning me to leave. I couldn't. She stood quickly, muttered something to him, and walked toward me. Her hand gripped my arm with a force I didn't know she had. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed. "Then tell me why." I shot back. "Tell me who he is." Her face was pale. "If you love me, don't ask." That night ended with us arguing in the street, rain pouring down like the sky itself wanted to wash us away. She cried, begged me to drop it. I held her, broken, torn between trust and suspicion. In the end, I said nothing. But I couldn't forget his smile. The following week, Emily grew distant. Our meetings became shorter, her words fewer. But her eyes, they spoke volumes. Every time she looked at me, it felt like goodbye. I couldn't take it anymore. One night, I confronted her again. "Tell me the truth," I said. "Whatever it is, I can handle it. Just don't lie to me." Emily stood by the window, the city lights painting her face in fragments. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, finally, she turned toward me. "You were never supposed to matter this much," she whispered. "But you do." My chest tightened. "Then stay. We'll figure it out together." Her eyes softened, but only for a second. Then she shook her head. "I can't." He wouldn't let me. The name hung unspoken in the air, the man from the bar. My stomach twisted. "Who is he?" I demanded. Her lips trembled. "The reason I can't love you the way you deserve." Before I could reply, there was a knock at the door. 3 sharp, deliberate knocks that made the room go silent. Emily's face went pale. "Don't open it," she whispered, grabbing my hand. Her fingers were ice cold. But the knocking came again, louder this time. The handle turned. Emily pressed her lips against mine in one desperate kiss. When she pulled away, her eyes were wet with tears. "I'm sorry," she said. "I warned you." The door burst open. Two men stepped inside, cold, expressionless, and behind them, the man from the bar. Emily let go of my hand and stepped toward him. Her body straight, her face unreadable. In that instant, I realized the truth. She hadn't been mine to lose. She had always belonged to him. "Take care of yourself," she whispered to me one last time. And then, without another glance, she walked out with them. The door slammed. Silence swallowed the room. I stood there, unable to breathe, with only her scent lingering in the air. The days after she left were a blur. I barely slept. I barely ate. Every corner of my apartment felt haunted by her laughter in the walls, her perfume in the sheets, her shadow in the glass of the window. I told myself I would move on, that people disappear all the time, that love isn't always enough. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was, I couldn't let her go. I went back to the bar, again and again. Sometimes I saw him there, the man with the sharp eyes and sharper smile, but Emily never appeared. When I tried to approach him, his men blocked me, their silence more terrifying than any words. I started drinking more, sleeping less. My friends stopped calling. My boss threatened to fire me. None of it mattered. All that mattered was Emily. One night, after weeks of silence, I found an envelope slipped under my door. No name, no return address, just my name scrawled across the front. Inside was a single note. "Meet me where it all began. Midnight." My hand shook, my heart thundered. It had to be her. At midnight, I was on the train, the same carriage, the same hum of the tracks, and there she was. Emily. She looked thinner, her face pale, her eyes darker than I remembered, but she was still her. Beautiful, unforgettable, mine, even if only in memory. "You came," she whispered, as if surprised. "You asked," I said, my voice cracked. "Why did you leave? What is happening to you?" Her eyes glistened, and for a moment, she looked like she might break. Then she shook her head. "I shouldn't be here. If he finds out, then don't go back to him," I pleaded. "Stay. We'll run away. We'll disappear." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She reached out, cupping my face with trembling hands. "You don't understand. I can't leave. He owns too much of me. I don't care," I said fiercely. "I'll fight him. I'll fight anyone." Her lips brushed mine, soft, desperate, like it was both a kiss and a goodbye. "That's why I love you," she whispered, "because you'd burn the world for me." The train slowed. She pulled back, her eyes filled with sorrow. "But that's also why I can't stay." She stood, moving toward the doors. I caught her wrist. "Emily, please." She turned, her voice barely audible over the hiss of the brakes. "If I stay with you, he'll kill you, and I couldn't live with that." The doors opened. She slipped away into the night, leaving me with nothing but her ghost. I thought that was the end. But fate wasn't done with me. Weeks later, I came home to find my apartment door ajar. My blood turned to ice. Inside, everything looked untouched, except for the table. On it lay another envelope. Inside was a photograph. Emily, bound to a chair, her face bruised, her eyes defiant, and beneath it, a message. "She chose you. Now she pays the price." My hand shook so violently I nearly tore the paper. Rage consumed me, hotter than anything I'd ever felt. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just went. Back to the bar. Back to him. When I stormed in, the room went silent. His men stood like statues. But I didn't care. My eyes found his. And for the first time, I spoke without fear. "Where is she?" He smiled that same smile. Calm, cold, deadly. "She was never yours to save." Something inside me snapped. I don't remember drawing the knife. I don't remember the struggle. All I remember is blood, on my hands, on the floor, on his face as his smile finally vanished. When it was over, I was standing in the middle of the bar, chest heaving, knife dripping. His men were gone. The silence was unbearable. And then, a voice, weak, fragile, familiar. David. I turned. There she was, Emily, standing in the doorway, alive, shaking, her wrists bruised, her lips split, but her eyes were still fire. I dropped the knife and ran to her. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing, clutching me as if I was the only thing tethering her to life. I told you not to come, she whispered, but you did, you always do. I held her tighter. I'd burn the world for you. For the first time, she didn't argue. She just pressed her face into my chest, and I knew we had crossed a line we could never return from. We left the city that night. No goodbyes, no explanations, just two broken people running from the ashes of everything we had destroyed. Maybe love isn't about safety. Maybe it isn't about peace. Maybe love is the fire that consumes you, the storm that drowns you, the knife that cuts you open until you're nothing but raw truth. All I know is this: Emily is beside me, and no matter what comes next, no matter how many ghosts chase us, I will never let her go again. Because some loves are worth the chaos. Some loves are worth the blood. And hers is worth everything.